forgot all about you.
I said shit, me too.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Piper Perabo too. I mean, ever since Coyote Ugly, her career has been relatively stagnant. The second episode of Yellowstone's final season debuted this week, and it's painfully obvious what they're trying to do. No, I'm not talking about killing Teeter off with a rattlesnake. Oh no, there's something far bigger in store for Yellowstone. But is it too little too late? Did the show jump the shark? And what exactly is Taylor Sheridan trying to set up here? Join me, dear viewer, as I dive back into the raging dumpster fire that is modern Hollywood. Before we dive in, take a quick second to hit that subscribe button, and if you really want to make sure you never miss out, ring that notification bell too. It'll help us break through the YouTube algorithm and keep this channel growing strong. Titled The Apocalypse of Change, the second episode of Yellowstone's final season dropped this week, and it left more questions than it answered following last week's abnormally dismal episode. The latest episode of Yellowstone opens with a dreamlike flashback that blends memory and fabrication as Beth grapples with her father John Dutton's recent death. Waking up at the Yellowstone Ranch, she's plunged into a world where grief, suspicion, and retribution collide. Damn, I sure did like how cool that speakeasy was in that memory in Texas. A good moment of levity was also provided by Teeter, who had to fend off a rattlesnake trying to warm itself up on her chest. Yeah, good place to curl up in my mind. Gator's repeated suggestions of frying up the rattlesnakes were met with cowboy disdain. Meanwhile, Casey, Monica, and Tate's brief joy in their new home is shattered when the family learns of John's alleged suicide, thrusting them back into turmoil. Beth is quick to suspect her brother Jamie of foul play in their father's demise, a suspicion confirmed during a fiery confrontation in his office. Tensions escalate further when Sarah Atwood and her market equities team arrives, hinting at more battles to come over Montana's land and future. While Jamie finds solace in Sarah's manipulative embrace, Beth plots vengeance with characteristic intensity. See, I'm gonna keep saying it. Beth Dutton is a well-written, strong female character, and Hollywood should take note. Casey, on the other hand, opts for a more calculated approach, enlisting a special ops ally to track down the mercenaries behind John's death. Meanwhile, Rip, the voice of caution, questions whether the fight ahead is worth lifelong consequences. With the specter of a gubernatorial race looming, alliances are fracturing, and revenge seems inevitable, but so does the chaos that will follow. Okay, so right off the bat, it's pretty clear what's going to happen. There's gonna be a Sopranos-style final season where all the pieces are positioned on the chessboard and they all strike, but not everyone's gonna make it out alive. That much is obvious. What isn't as obvious is the nuanced but very direct supposition that we're seeing the beginning of the planned offshoot TV series based on the 4-6's ranch, and it's looking like, based on the speakeasy scene, the series will revolve around Rip and Beth finding their new home somewhere deep in the heart of Texas. And given Taylor Sheridan's 2016 classic Hell or High Water, it looks like he would have plenty to work with for an entire offshoot. The 4-6's seems to be to Yellowstone what Better Call Saul was to Breaking Bad, an equally compelling series. Let's just hope it doesn't drag on longer than Saul did with Breaking Bad, but I digress. Beth's disdain for tourists and investors seems to be alleviated down in Texas, but first we'll have to see how the Montana ranch situation shakes out. The other outstanding piece is who would take over the Dutton Ranch, or will it be sold off for commercial development? Well, that really all depends on Taylor Sheridan's views on whether the old ways are truly dying off in the real world, or if they've been given a new lease on life given the current political climate. The scene where Casey gives Tate a choice to lead the Yellowstone Ranch or to move on with his own life is very poignant. This is a turning point for the youngster where he is going to have to cross over from boyhood and become a man capable of handling everything life throws at him. I think that will be the crux of how this series concludes, not a major battle or shootout with special forces operators and the hedge fund guys. Although make no mistake about it, because that'll be a spectacle to behold. And on that note, I do have to say that my favorite part of the episode was Casey enlisting the help of his former military buddies for this fight. That whet my appetite for the inevitable shootout that's gonna come by the end of the season. I'm a big fan of this underexplored aspect of Casey's past. Sure, the earlier seasons gave us some insight as to what he was seeing fighting overseas, but we didn't get much beyond a few fleeting scenes and flashbacks. It'll be cool to see Casey lace up with his old military contacts for one last gunslinging. At this point, it's pretty clear Taylor Sheridan is a bit tired of Yellowstone because these 2 episodes seemed very half-assed. I have to admit that episode 10 wasn't as disjointed as episode 9, but I do have to question the frequent use of flashbacks and dream sequences. Throughout all of TV history, these types of plot devices have rarely worked. Oh, hey, it was all a dream. In order to use a flashback effectively, you have to provide the viewer with a little intention or explanation. While episode 9's 6-week flashback didn't really provide much, this episode's dream sequence or flashback, or whatever you want to call it, did hint at what's coming. But it's not Yellowstone related. It's the illusion of a 4/6 series starring Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser as Beth and Rip as they navigate the beating heart of Texas. But what do you guys make of all this? Did you like how the final season is unraveling? Do you think the hedge funders will succeed? Or will Jamie and his sexy pit viper take a dirt nap? Please do let me know down below in the comments, and as always, hit that like button, ring that notification bell, and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okie dokie.